Ah, oh, he started without me. They um they harvested the back field a few days ago now. Combine harvester, of course, and the wind was blowing from the field and it's coming over here. I had my garage open, so my bike, the Himalayan, was in there, and it got completely covered in dust. I suppose it's wheat chaff dust. You know that field out there? That's about 50 acres, I reckon. They had it done in a couple of hours. Two combines, a couple of tractors coming and going. You know, they empty the combine empties the corn into the tractor trailer, and the tractor takes off. Another one takes its place, and the bales are all coming out the back, and it's all very clever. But it ain't romantic like it used to be. The romance of it, I mean. I mean, it's so easy. I mean, it looks so easy today, harvesting. But I'm fortunate enough to be old enough to remember and to have participated in several harvests in the old way. In fact, even I can even remember some fields being cut with scythes. 3 or 4 guys in a field. This usually happened on fields where it wasn't practical to get a reaper in, so they did it by hand, moving along together rhythmically, getting a rhythm going. Fantastic to watch. Those scythes are so sharp, and you know, in quite short order, they'd have the whole field done. Not as quickly as the modern ones, but it was lovely to watch. Or I say it was lovely to watch, but I mean, I don't know if at the time I thought it was lovely. I thought it was quite remarkable the way they did it. I don't think lovely was the word I would have used to describe it when I was a young teenager. Yeah, so I took part in my first harvest. I think I was 13. I must have been 13 when I went to live with my mum in Scotland on a croft. And there was a farm across the way, but it was over the road. I mean, it was just it was a narrow road, but anyway, that's by the by. So anyway, it's at the local farm, and it was Mr. Gilbert ran it with his wife, and he was just a farmer on his own. But what they did, the local farmers at harvest times, they all got together and they all helped each other. And if they didn't have their own reaper, I don't know if it's called a reaper, a binder machine. It used to sit on the back of it, and it would be pulled. One man was sitting on the back of it on one of those bouncy tractor type seats, and another man would be driving usually a little grey Fergie tractor, or then maybe a Fordson Major tractor. Just came just after that. Yeah, so they'd this machine would come along and it'd be all handles and goodness knows what, and it would collect, it would cut. Would it cut? Ah, your memory plays tricks, isn't it? I think no, I think the corn had already been cut, and it was laying down, and then this other machine come. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't remember. Anyway, the reaper would come along and it would pick up the corn. Whether it was cutting it at the same time, I'm not sure. I don't think it was. But it would pick up the corn and it would go through the machine and it would tie it up and it would come out the back in sheaves, stooks, we call them up there in Scotland, which is a big bundle of corn with a tie around it, usually a bit of binder twine. But before that, like the guys who used to do it by scythe, they would just tie it up with some of the corn itself. And yeah, it would just lay all the stooks down, and then yes, it had been cut. It had been cut because it had to be allowed to dry a bit before they would stook it. And then after they'd stooked it, they'd pick up these stooks and they'd put 4 or 5 or 6 of them together to dry a bit more. And there would be rows of them across the fields. Hard work these guys used to do. And then the next thing would be that after that had dried a bit, God willing, the weather had been good, the farmer would come along with his little grey Fergie tractor, in our case, the memory I'm having, and his trailer, and you'd begin loading it loading the stooks onto the trailer. Um, you would pick them up with a pitchfork, just put it onto the trailer where there's 1 man or 2 men, and they'd start spreading them out, stacking them, so you'd be nicely balanced, all level, and you'd get higher and higher until you got to a height where it probably wouldn't be safer to carry on. So that would get taken into the farmyard, into the yard itself. It would get unloaded, and when they unloaded it, they would stack it in on rocks. So you'd have rocks underneath, and they would start laying these stooks on the rocks, and then it up and up and up. And eventually, it would become a beautiful haystack, and they'd even sort of thatch the top of it by pulling the straw down so that any rain would just run off and not destroy underneath the corn underneath. So they would do that, and then after I don't know how many weeks, a few weeks, then the threshing machine would come in. It was a great big wooden machine. What I'll try and intersperse a few, if I can find some old photographs online. I haven't got any personally, but if I can find some old photographs online, I'll try and intersperse them into this little commentary, this little story I'm telling. And and the other thing was when you was out in the fields, it was hard work, especially if it was hot, and you'd have a lunch break, and the lady of the house, the farmer's wife, in this case, Mrs. Gilbert, lovely lady, who died very young of cancer. Lovely, lovely lady. She would come out with the big jugs of tea and a basket full of softies, which were uh, like soft bread rolls with jam in them, butter or whatever they had in them, and that would be your piece. It was called your piece, just a sandwich. Like I don't know why they called it your piece. I remember when I started work, I used to have to take a piece with me, and my piece was a couple of sandwiches called the piece. Anyway, yeah, and that's a lovely memory, sitting there in the cornfield, all completely knackered, but having a lovely break with a nice cup of tea, mug of tea, and a softie or a piece. And then you'd have your break and then straight back to it. It was very hard work. I can remember helping Mr. Gilbert get some, I only did this once or twice, helping him get the turnips in, or the neeps as we called them. I mean, he used to do it on his own. I just happened to be there one day and I helped him. And I'll tell you what, that you've got your bill hook thing, you bash it into a turnip in the frozen ground, usually frozen ground. Grab the turnip out, cut the top off and the bottom of it, throw it into the trailer. Back-breaking stuff, back-breaking. You'd do it for hours till you'd filled up a trailer. And then even after you've done that, you've got to take it back to the yard and then you've got to slice it all up. A machine, a hand-operated machine, and feed it to the cattle. It was honestly, farming was bloody hard work in those days. And they didn't earn a lot of money for it either. Usually happy sort of people, very friendly people, I remember. Yeah, anyway, all the farmers would get together and they would hire this threshing machine, this enormous great machine where you put the you start unbundling the haystacks and then you start feeding the stooks into the machine. Then it rattles it all around inside it, and all the corn comes out one side, and the straw comes out the other. And there's someone there with a bag at the end collecting all the corn, and then the corn, a bag of corn, probably 200 weight bag. None of your little namby-pamby half hundredweight bags. Get it on his back, take it off onto another tractor trailer. My God, the work those men used to do. I think about it. Now it's all done in half a day, 50 acres, if that. Oh, a little, I don't know if it's a mosquito or not got on my screen. Yeah, so that was it. Lovely, lovely people. And yeah, I think I did about 3 harvests. And I'll always remember it as being a hard work, but happy. And all the local farmers all joining in together to help each other. Money didn't change hands, I don't think. I think it was just a mutual way of helping each other. That was in the very early 60s, late 50s, early 60s. Those are the days, eh? Anyway, that's just a little tale from my childhood I thought you might be interested in. Yeah. Oh, and I had to go and get my bike, my Himalayan that was covered in dust. I was just about to take it to the get its MOT when I noticed that. So I actually had to clean my motorbike. Makes a nice change. Anyway, nice talking to you. I just thought I'd pop in and say hello, really, instead of being on my bike. You'll take care. I hope I see you again soon. Bye bye for now. See you later.